and doing well and staying safe. I'm definitely going to be talking about interest rates and inflation here in Canada and also what we're seeing in the US. I'm going to talk about a brief story in terms of a call I had from a friend today. But as you can see on the screen, Fed seen raising to 4% in 2022 and signaling higher for longer. So the US Federal Reserve on the week of September 21st raised their overnight interest rate by 75 basis points, and they're expecting to be for end of the year by December to be at 4%. So they're looking to obviously increase drastically for the rest of the year. And in context, my friend gave me a call and he was hearing from family and friends how in the market the sentiment is that interest rates are going to continue to increase drastically. And always remember, Canada follows the US very closely in terms of monetary policy and with interest rates. So if the Fed is saying 4% they expect to be by the end of 2022, you know for sure by that's my signal that Canada is going to probably do similar in terms of continuing to raise interest rates drastically. So based on this article, Federal Reserve officials have signaled a more hawkish stance this week with interest rates they're saying going to reach by 4% in December and staying higher throughout 2023. And this is economist served by Bloomberg. And my friend's conversation, he called me, he heard that, Gurinder, our interest rate is going to continue to increase drastically. Tell me what you think. And we really talked about obviously his variable interest rate or interest mortgage, I should say, what its principal. Obviously, payments are an interest because obviously he's paying much more for interest versus his principal compared to the start of 2022. And we're just talking about how much more can we see? And it seems like the benchmark right now is just 4% overnight in terms of the US and Canada. And really, Canada is going to follow the Fed, and most likely it seems like they're going to be at 4% as well by the end of 2022. But again, guys, we'll see what happens, and I'll continue to bring this information to you. But I definitely want to talk about interest rates, real estate, and obviously what we're seeing in the market. And I want to start off with the next topic here on inflation. So interest rates are going up. Why? Because inflation is at a 40-year high in both US and Canada. And this past week, the Canadian numbers came out. So Canada's inflation rate cools to 7%, but food prices are still rising. We saw gas prices continue to go down. I've definitely noticed I'm paying less at the pump, but I've also noticed I'm paying much more for groceries. So groceries are now actually leading the inflation number in terms of the print. And you can see the percentage here. We're paying more for spices, baked goods, non-alcoholic beverages, fresh fruit, sugar and confectionery, fish, seafood, dairy products, and meat. So guys, we're paying more for groceries, so that number has obviously not gone down as more than expected. And also rent has continued to be stable or is actually increasing month over month. Again, guys, all these articles will be in the description below. You can obviously, look at them at your leisure. Want to read further information, please do so. And as we continue along, Canadians are definitely worried, and a big part of that is interest rates. So a third of Canadians worry about covering daily expenses, survey finds. With obviously, if you have a variable interest rate like my friend does, or variable interest mortgage, it may be going up based on if you have a static or a changing with prime rate variable mortgage rate. So as inflation trips along, almost 1/3 of working Canadians say they're worried about being able to cover their daily expenses. This was a survey by summer 2022 by LifeWorks, which is a unit of TELUS Health. The last quarter has been riddled with heightened inflation concerns such as inflation, interest rates, and overall cost of living, right? You talk a lot about recession, inflation, interest rates. Among those experiencing financial anxiety, the survey on which the index is based found that people between the age of 40 and under are 75% more likely than older than 50 to be fretting about basic living expenses. And then obviously people with children are 40% more likely than people without children to be worried about covering expenses, right? Because obviously you have more expenses, more dependents, and that obviously makes a difference. All this is obviously leading to a correction in terms of price, sales for real estate in Canada and obviously GTA and obviously Vancouver in particular. So this is an article for Canadian Press, September 15. Canadian home prices will fall with fewer sales expected in 2022. And this is from CREA, the Canadian Real Estate Association. So it's cutting its forecast for home sales this year and lowering expectations for price growth as some of the country's hottest markets cool from pandemic highs. In its latest market outlook it released, the association said it expects 532 properties to trade hands via the MLS system, and that's down 20% from the 2021 annual record. Guys, remember 2021 was really an outlier, really fueled by liquidity and obviously the Bank of Canada where they've set interest rates, and that's really an outlier in terms of history, I believe, in the long term. Now, outlook is down from Korea's forecast in June that predicted 14% decline in sales this year and a 10% decline, 10% increase in the national average home price, which obviously we're seeing national home prices come down, not go up. Korea attributed the forecast revision to a shift in market dynamics that has seen much of the heat dissipate from regions of the country where prices were surging and competition for homes was high. So, guys, we're talking about this for weeks and months now. You obviously have buyers purchasing less because they can afford less, and they obviously taking a break to see what's available in the market. Sellers are trying to get much as possible still for their homes, but they're obviously finding their houses are staying on the market longer. They obviously may have to take price cuts depending on where the home is located, and that's a very big important point. And again, this is being led by interest rates going up. Interest rates are going up obviously because inflation is still a big point, and Bank of Canada needs to bring it down to 2%. However, when we're talking about regions here, region makes a difference. And this is from Reuters. Canada home prices edge up on the month based on the Toronto strength. And this is an article from September 15, just briefly here. Canada's average resale home price fell 3.9% from a year ago in August, but was up 1.2% on the month as the market appeared to stabilize in the Greater Toronto Area. And this was from the Canadian Real Estate Association as well. The national average selling price edged up to $637,000 in August from $629,000 in July, though prices are 21.9% below its February peak. As mentioned, prices have come down drastically. Korea's home price index edged down 1.6% on the month, but was still up 7.1% annually. So, guys, Toronto is obviously a strength. When we see Toronto obviously correct further, it's obviously stabilized after 5 or 6 months of decreases. We'll see obviously how this plays over the long term. I hope you appreciate me coming at you. Again, if you have any questions for me, my links for Instagram and Twitter will be below. You can always reach out. And guys, really 3 things I want you to take away from this video. Interest rates are going to continue to increase throughout 2022 for the rest of the year, and we'll obviously see what that means for 2023. Keep a close eye on inflation. That's really going to be your telling sign of when markets turn around and when the central banks take it easy, saying, okay, we've raised enough, let's sit back and see what happens. And then obviously what's happening with home prices and obviously sales activity. It's down. It's expected to continue to be down as interest rates continue to go increase. So obviously take that into consideration if you're buying or looking to buy or sell, real estate in Canada and obviously in the US. So guys, appreciate it. If you give me a like, a subscription, always helps me, keeps me motivated. Any questions, reach out to me. I'd love to have a further conversation. I hope you appreciated it, found this valuable, and we'll definitely talk real soon. Have a good one.